Okay, let's take a look at some of these cave stamp sketches. Alright. We have one right here that I don't think I did in that previous video, or was it? This one's on glossy cardstock. These other ones are on matte. I thought we'd finish one of these off, and I was thinking about this one. This one's, I don't know, maybe a little bit farther along than the others because I have a color established in here. And it's also kind of the one I want to finish off, and I don't know, I didn't press hard enough right there when I was going for that impression, so I don't know, I feel like fixing it. And we can do that in quick order. Let's grab some pads here. Let's just grab a range of blue tones. I don't know, nighttime scenes, I don't know, I tend to do them, I don't know, probably 95% of them in a blue color scheme. Just, I don't know, I tend to think about a cool light when I think about a moon. What we're going to do on here is we're going to establish that moon as our light source. And what I was thinking about during that previous video is I was thinking about moon rays coming through here. I thought that would be perfect for this type of compositional scenario here, where we're kind of looking out a cave into the night sky in this case. All right, so let's make things nice and easy like I just went through. I think it was in video series number 615, was it? I don't even remember. It was just like last week. There's a lot of videos out there. I think there's over 800 at this point in time. But what I taught in that one was just make it easier on yourself. Use a re-inker for your first inking. We didn't always do that. You don't have to do that. It just makes it so much easier. This is just a paper towel. You can use a kitchen sponge if you want. Stylus tools, if you know what I'm talking about with those. Whatever type of ink applicator. But do you need a fancy one? Well, I don't know. I don't. Unless you consider whatever this is. Bounty? Fancy? Alright. Interesting. My ink is kind of smearing a little bit on here. And I stamped this hours ago. And it's on kind of matte paper. I don't know, I re-inked before I stamped these out with my black inker, but I don't know, it's kind of interesting. I don't know, maybe it's the re-inker on this cardstock, I don't know. Okay, so anyway, we've established the moon as our light source now, right? Because we've darkened in the areas around it. I could have left a little bit of lighting on this ledge here, but I don't know. We had the ink. I just decided to go ahead and utilize that ink fully. And here, sometimes it's good to leave a little bit of light. So you have light source, and reflected light down there. I don't know, I didn't do it. Okay, so that is that. I didn't even really use Summer Sky, I just used the I don't even know, what color did I use? Oh, it was the Tumbled Glass Distress Ink, okay? You can mix and match. I'm mixing and matching all dye-based inks. I'm not mixing and matching, pigments and dyes. This is a little bit of a darker blue. This is the Bahama blue, okay? Maybe I'll leave some of the ledge a little bit lighter, so you're just going around coloring it like this. This comes together pretty fast, though, don't you think? Coming in here, like so, kind of darkening the night sky. I wouldn't take it so dark around my moon, so I'm kind of being a little bit more perimeter-oriented as far as the center opening goes. You don't have to be perfect or anything like that. I'll give it a little bit of a stronger vignette around the outside edge. I don't know, I tend to go pretty dark around my outer perimeter just because I think it contains the composition a little bit more, a little bit stronger than having it lighter, but you don't have to go that light. Really, really great on here is some gray too, don't you think? I don't know, it might give it a little bit of richness and body. Let's try some of that. I'm just going for a Marvy gray. use a Memento gray, distress gray, whatever you want. Dye-based inks, okay? So just kind of keep it consistent as far as the type of ink. Not that you can't use a pigment ink, but we're not using it to color here, okay? And blend. Can't really see the gray too much. That's that color right there. But, I mean, it is affecting the overall. It's just a very subtle jump in value. Or not jump, but transition in value, I should say. We're not making a big jump or anything like that from one color to the next. That's pretty good there. Let's go to the Danube blue. Some like crumbs on here from whatever coloring I was doing before. Alright, so here we go with the darker blue, staying a little bit more perimeter oriented. Not that you can't come up into some of these areas. I like to, what I call oscillate and checkerboard my surface right here. I like to have some areas dark and light and dark and light and dark. You know what I mean? It makes it more interesting, and I don't know, the more transitions you have in a given surface makes it potentially a little bit richer because you have that variation going on. Okay, adding a little bit of darker blue in here. Okay, kind of staying away from that moon. I don't want a super dark color, although this isn't terribly dark. Alright, but the areas that are dark, if you can get darker using your existing color, then just add more ink. I think that's better than kind of jumping to the next color, you know. You get a little bit more body the more complete you apply a given color, okay? And I'll show you what I mean by going back to that oscillation of light in here, okay? But let's create this. Let's establish this lighting in here first. Okay, so see, and here, see, leaving some of these rocks a little bit lighter. So you have dark, light, you know, dark, lighter a little bit, dark down here, lighter here. I mean, it doesn't matter which one you choose. Just kind of pick one or pick an area, and then just go dark. You know, light, dark. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be so checkerboard. It could be just all this top part could be all dark and this bottom part could be all light. Whatever you want. You know what I mean? I just think that's easier. I mean, it is easier because you don't have to cover up everything. But it also looks better. Okay? But the areas that you are adding that, you know, darker tone, then, you know, add a good amount of it, because it'll make it a nice, deep, rich version of that existing color. All right. Now, eventually, we're going to have to get black. And let me use my Prussian blue here. If you have darker blue, go ahead and use it. Blueprint Sketch by Distressing. That one's super dark. That one's kind of like the, I don't know. It's almost like a extreme. This is Prussian blue. See how dark that Prussian blue is? When you get to the really dark colors, kind of put the brakes on as far as the application speed of that given color, okay? In other words, kind of stay in an area. A little bit of ink goes a long way. See, I'm kind of still using that. I'm not re-inking with that, because this is really dark at this point in time, okay? All right. It's very, very blue, don't you think? It's almost too much. But that's okay, because I'm going to mute that intensity a little bit. I mean, you can leave it as is, too. Whatever you want to do. Alright, so there's that. It's looking a little bit more like you're in a cave, though, don't you think? You know, because you're looking out, and it's darker in here. Some light's getting through. I'll show you what we're going to do with that, too. I think it's going to look pretty cool, having those light beams going from the side into a cave. I don't remember doing that before. If I have, maybe you can remind me of it if you've seen some other videos, but I don't remember having light beams going into a cave. Okay, so this, you know, I'm kind of adding that black right there, and look at how that's kind of affecting the lighting scheme of the piece. You can see yourself, picture yourselves as kind of a lighting director, okay? You know, you're lighting something in your living room, or, you know, you're creating a little bit of a stage, you know, and you're controlling spotlights and gels and, you know, whatever. And you're lighting something appropriately, okay? And that's a good way to see yourself in terms of scenic stamping. You know, you're not thinking, wait a minute, would that moonlight hit here? I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't think that way. I think, what do I want that moonlight to be hitting? And I just don't cover it up, you know, I leave it light, you know. Or what do I want to stand out? And what do I want to kind of push back a little bit, or de-emphasize, you know, by darkening it. I don't know, sometimes you emphasize something by darkening it, but in this case, I think the emphasis is on the lighting right there. But anyways, see that right there? Kind of going, you know, for that stronger vignette, four corners. I think I mentioned that in my series, instructional series videos recently. All these are instructional, but I really started from scratch in that last series. Alright, so anyways, it looks like we're kind of looking out of that cave now, doesn't it? See that right there? I mean, I darkened it pretty good on the outside, but you still see, you know, the details within. Alright? Okay, let's get to some of the fun here. All of it's fun, all stamping is fun, but some parts are even funner, you know? Even more fun, funner, whatever. Okay, let's go with the Brilliance Moonlight White. I don't know, that one dries a little bit faster, which isn't necessarily good sometimes. See, here's your paper towel there. I think it did a great job. I don't know, it's not even a full paper towel, it's like a, I don't know, half. I mean, that's just one part of it, too. So what you do is, you know, when you're going to another color scheme or whatever, there's another whole card right there. And it's like, I don't know, what is it? It's like half a paper towel for 2 cards. That's not too bad. And we used a ton of ink on here, so it's economic, I don't know, tonal blending, right? Alright, so we're going to apply some moonbeams in here. I think that's really going to kind of establish the character of this piece. There's a certain character to it right now, but I just, whenever you add these beams into kind of a scenic scenario, they kind of become the star of the scene, which is fine. Oops, that one's not a good one. Rip. That's fine. Okay, so light beams are going to be coming from the moon, and they're going to be shining into the cave. Alright, so here's what I do. I wanted to do some of that on my... Okay, so we're going to pick kind of a little point in here. Let's see, I'll do it from the head of the eagle right there, okay? That'll be my vanishing point. It's kind of convenient. Alright, and I wanted to do these beams in my that series that I did, but I don't know. I didn't want to have like a, 15-part series or something like that. I was already getting kind of long at about 6 or 7 videos, but the beams they're just so much fun to do. Okay, so we're going to concentrate that ink around the moon, and then we're going to add it out like this, okay? It's going to be a very light application of it, alright? Well, it could be thicker, I guess. But I like to have it heavier towards the light source, and then I dissipate it as it moves out. So just more pigment ink there, and less pigment ink here. But you can see what it does right there, okay? Have that light beam coming out. One doesn't make sense at all, okay? I have to add quite a bit of it. Okay, get another beam right here. For some reason this pigment ink is kind of, it seems like it's applying dark on me. Let me use a little bit of a thicker application of it. Okay, I have a kind of a thicker cotton ball of it. But I'll just dab lightly though, okay? And I like to have the beams a little bit kind of thicker and on one, you know, if it's a real wide beam, I like to have it thicker on one side. So it kind of dissipates like that. Okay, see it's kind of like not just one big heavy beam, and this one's a little bit less up here, so see that? It creates a lot of variation like so. Alright, just keep going on, you know, kind of spread the beams out a little bit. You don't have to have them perfectly spaced, you know, or anything like that. I think it's better if it's a little bit more irregular. You can have some beams that are very narrow. You can have beams on top of beams, like you got a kind of a darker wide beam. Then you can do a narrow, bright, you know, light beam if you want, you know, a lighter one. It's all up to you. I can see that's kind of making sense now. You know, you get more light coming in. I should try to have one a little bit more distant too, coming through here. Let's go like this. Let's come in here. I'll go kind of narrow with this one, just for some variation. Let's see, where's the other one? There it is. Okay, so my vanishing point, I always have these two pieces of paper kind of angled right up to that eagle head, you know, so I can keep a consistent vanishing point. Okay, no, another thing that you do in these beams, you can create one here, and then leave a little bit of space in between, and then have more of it kind of extending down here, so it's kind of, it's being broken up by, you know, objects along the path of the beam, all right, which happens. So you have a little bit here, a little bit down here. See that? I mean, I did put some down here too. Well, I didn't break that one up quite as much, but see, it's a little bit brighter up here and brighter right here, and a little bit here is a little bit more, you know, less distinct. I mean, some of these beams could be just ending right on the rock too. They don't have to be going, you know, traveling through the, you know, the whole, you know, range of objects to the edge of the paper. You can kind of discontinue the beam. You know, in a shorter distance. Okay, well, maybe some beams are going on the other side of this ledge too, like that. Okay, it's going on the other side of the ledge and hitting somewhere. Okay, so I think I'll do that a couple times. We'll do it up here too, like the beam is going, you know, behind that overhanging ledge. Okay, so right there. It's kind of, you know, hitting that ledge or going behind it, whatever. Okay, now I'm going to do some things here too. I'm going to I'll illuminate some of this ledge here with some pigment ink. Looks okay. I'm not going to do too much of that. And I'm going to illuminate around that moon here, so I'll put some on that eagle's wing. You know, where the eagle is kind of in the moonlight as well. I'll do half the eagle. Oops. All right. Let's go. Let's kind of going to do this, in a 360 degrees around that eagle. In other words, I'm not going to put the beams going everywhere in there. Okay, so we'll kind of maybe it's just on this lower portion right here. Let me do this too. Let's refine some of these beams here. So I'm going to add a little bit more on the top of this thicker beam right here, just to bring it out a little bit more. See that right there? I do this a lot. I work on it, then I kind of look at it, and you have to kind of look at it when the pigment ink kind of starts to dry too, because often at times it looks, quite different when it dries, the pigment ink. It dries darker. All right, so see that? It's just kind of, I don't know, it just brings it, I guess there's more dimension and depth in a beam if you kind of lighten it up in some areas. I just ran my finger through there and it just took off some of that, but that's fine. Okay, I need one more beam like this way, I think. Let's just keep it fairly subtle, okay? I'll make it wide, but we'll kind of do it. Just very, very, almost transparent, okay? Well, we'll see how it goes. Okay, all right. Got that right there. A little bit of a stronger beam there. I think that's about right. All right, let's bring a little bit more illumination to this moon. I want that moon to really glow for me. Oh, let's try something here too. We have that background already established. I've been doing this a lot on the startering papers and things like that, but let's mask off and create some clouds in the background if we can. Not too much, because it'll interfere with the, some of these beams, I think, but I don't know, a little bit of texture might be interesting. I don't know, but let's see if it'll even show up. Go like something like that, I don't know. This is a terribly ripped, okay, let me rip this right here. Yeah, it looks pretty good, I guess. I don't know. Just putting like clouds. Maybe okay. Let me concentrate a little bit more here. Little clouds up here too. This sky was looking a little bit, I don't know, kind of boring, I think, but this is giving it a little bit more dimension. I like it more with this in here. I mean, it doesn't even read as clouds in many ways. It's just, Yeah, there's just kind of some subtle textures kind of running in the background now, like that, and down here. I think it just gives it's kind of opened it up. It's given some more dimension, which it needed to. It needed to, I needed to have a feeling of a little slightly more depth in here. All right, so adding some of this around the opening of the cave, I think it's going to contribute to this idea of light hitting it. Okay, I think that will do it. I don't know. I mean, it shouldn't surprise me. A lot of times when I'm utilizing this white pigment ink, I end up using it a lot more than kind of what I thought I would. But once you start adding it into certain areas, it's just like it kind of opens the doors up for, I don't know, other areas and applications that kind of might benefit from it. Okay. Okay, so that, look at that. It's stuck to my thumb there. All right, this Brilliance ink, I mean, it dries fairly quickly, and it's not like applying it onto, some metallics or foil papers or something like that sort. It does set up reasonably fast, okay? I would think it'd be fully dry by tomorrow morning. I am doing this at almost 2 a.m. Some of you crafters out there know that hour well. Sometimes I'm, I don't know, finally getting around to logging on Facebook and checking some things out. Now, everyone's on different time zones, but I'm always surprised at kind of the people who are up. Okay, so anyway, here we go. I mean, it's certainly changed from, this type of look right here, right? I mean, just in terms of the format, it looked like that before. I don't know, maybe I went too dark in here. I can see all the details, though, like that. Okay, they're still in there, see all that. But when I hold it, away like that, it's hard to see the details in there. Okay, so anyway, let's add in some nice little white highlights. Okay, so I'm kind of adding now. I always worry about zooming in too close like this because I end up working off camera. I really need to keep an eye on the screen here. Okay, so let's add some. See, I'm adding more of these little white highlights, kind of clustering it in an area where I want it fairly light, and then I dissipate it. I put them farther apart, so you're kind of clustering, and then you're spacing, okay? That way you get this look of lighting stronger, and then it weakens, okay? So you create those transitions like that, okay? So cluster and then spread apart. Now I'm clustering it and adding more light in a lighter area of the rock. Now see, this rock down here is really dark, so, you know, I don't know, maybe don't put any or put 3 dots or something like that. If you don't like it, then just kind of blend it out. Okay, that was a little bit too much there. I was just making a point. Okay, so adding, yeah, a little bit like that, and kind of spreading it out like that. Okay, it's kind of the opposite of stippled. Stippling for shadows with black ink, you're stippling for highlights with white ink. Okay, and you add more when using a black pen when doing stippling. Okay, so you see the transitions on here. There's more black dots in the shadows, and they get spread out and, you know, a little bit. See, more in the shadows, less up here. That's with the black ink. So when you're doing the white ink, you add more up here and less down here. Okay, this is opposite. Shadows, dark to light, and highlights are light to dark. Okay, so you can see that right around in here, right around the opening of the cave, there's more highlights closer to the edge, and then I dissipate it, you know, transition it. Now, if a rock is really dark right in here, I'm not going to put a lot of highlights on it, but see, like this rock is lighter, so you can put a few more highlights there, like that, and then just kind of spread it out a little bit. Okay, like so. Gives it a little bit more character, don't you think? It's a soft, you know, lighting in there with the pigment ink, fog and everything like that. But then you have these sharp, very detailed highlights with a paint pen, like so. This is a Meowsen 0.7 millimeter acrylic paint pen. Everyone always asks me about this pen. I think there's, I don't know, like a dozen varieties of the same exact thing. I got this because it was cheap, you know, and it had good reviews, so that's good enough for me. And it's proven to be, you know, pretty effective pen, but I'm pretty sure they're all, you know, the same brand, but just, or the same maker, but just different branding. Putting some of these little highlights on my little dewdrops on, you know, some of these blades of grass. Yeah, don't go too crazy with it, but it just, I don't know, it gives them a little bit more dimension and depth as well. Alright, so there you have it. If there was a mermaid or something out there, you know, you can put her like swimming up there, and it would be like looking up through the water, like a underwater cave, you know, or you can have fish in here, and you know, we're seeing the moon through the water, or something of that sort. Wouldn't that be? That's kind of a cool scenario, where you can put a sunken ship in there, you know, in the distance, or something like that. Make it look a little bit more, I don't know, fogged out or something like that, where the visibility, underwater visibility, isn't so strong. But anyways, let's take a look at this and check it out, how it was done. And of course, this is an idea of you being in a cave, looking out, okay? You can always have it very dark in there, where it's like you're on the outside of the cave, looking in, and it's super dark in the background. But I don't know, I tend to think of, you know, when I'm doing these ones, I don't know, it's typically, I'm thinking about being in the cave looking out, okay? I don't know, if you're outside looking in, it's kind of ominous and you don't want to go in there, but I don't know. I must have been a, I don't know, former bat or something like that. I love going into caves like in Joshua Tree and exploring kind of abandoned mine shafts and all that type of stuff. I'm a little bit more careful now. Then I have the sun. You give it a second thought, but you know, as far as like abandoned mine shafts, but I don't know. Always fun stuff exploring, and I don't know. I'm not claustrophobic at all. I actually like those types of things, so I tend to see myself as someone on the inside looking out like that, you know, when it comes to caves. Spelunking. Alright, so anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, drop me a note in the comments section, or if you have any comments, do likewise. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. Alright, thanks for watching.